vision, leadership, workplace-related topics. The Voices of Victory podcast show. Subscribe today. Let's go.
Vision, leadership, self-esteem, workplace-related topics.
Subscribe.
The Voices of Victory podcast show.
Voices of Victory.
Vision,
Voices of Victory.
leadership,
Voices of Victory.
workplace-related topics.
The Voices of Victory.
Voices of Victory. Voices of Victory. Voices of Victory.
It's time for the show. You are now listening to the Voices of Victory podcast show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mario Di Leone.
And welcome to Voices of Victory podcast show. I am your host, Mario Di Leone. And today we're going to talk about bypassing and the power of objectivity. Let's dig into a technique that's proving to be a game changer in how we respond to misinformation. It's called the bypassing technique. And it's not just effective, it reflects something I've been saying for a while now. Objectivity is a superpower. And here's how it all works. Bypassing doesn't get caught up in a tug-of-war argument of you're right, I'm wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. It sidesteps the urge to argue and instead offers something much more powerful. A truth that doesn't just counter misinformation, but elevates the conversation. We're talking about presenting a positive, fact-based statement that quietly undercuts the falsehood, not by attacking it, but by simply standing on solid ground. It's the difference between pushing against a lie and pulling people toward the truth. Let me give you a simple example. Say somebody's been misled into believing that a certain technology is harmful to public health. A direct correction might say there's no credible evidence of harm. Where bypassing, on the other hand, would say this technology has been shown to improve connectivity, which is critical for emergency services and education access. Now, that statement is a shift. It changes the energy from no conflict, just clarity. And the research, it's solid. The studies show that bypassing is more often effective than a direct correction, especially in highly debated spaces like 5G or GMOs. People who heard bypassing messages were actually less likely to support fear-driven or restrictive policies. And that tells us something important. Even when a false belief lingers, people's attitudes, their actions and decisions can still be redirected through truth. And that's the heart of influence. And that's where objectivity steps up, because bypassing reflects the posture of objectivity, staying calm, grounded, and focused on what's verifiably real. It doesn't swing back with emotional punches. It doesn't try to win the argument. It simply offers better information framed with clarity and purpose. So we can be honest here that bypassing isn't a magic fix. If someone grabs onto misinformation right away and anchors their belief in it, then you're working uphill. And they're ideologically invested, meaning that belief is now tied to their identity. Then no technique, and bypassing included, is guaranteed to break through. And the way you can understand this is when we look at people that have really strong beliefs that are tied to their identity, they are willing to die for it. Maybe even that phrase where they say, oh, I'm going to die on that mountain, which means you cannot change my mind on it. This is how I'm going to be. Now, when something is tied so heavily to the identity, you could see this when a person is experiencing adrenaline, which is that chemical that your body gives you when you're angry. What happens when people feel the adrenal rush is that when you speak to them rationally, they cannot hear you. They are emotionally charged. The chemicals in their body are literally shutting down other aspects of rationale. In other words, the rational part of the brain is shutting down. They can't hear you. When you speak to somebody, all you could do is give them some space, take a step back, breathe, and really give them a moment. Give them some space. Because quite honestly, if they're feeling an adrenal rush, it can feel difficult, if not impossible, to try to get them to come back down to a calm place. Now, empathy is supportive, but understand that this episode is all about bypassing. And for most conversations where resistance and defensiveness might show up, bypassing works because it feels different. It's not confrontational. It doesn't shame. It simply points to what is true, what's helpful, and what's real. And in a world that thrives and lives off of outrage or echo chambers, which is a hashtag where they keep repeating and echoing the same topic and manipulation, then guess what? The steady, objective truth isn't just rare, it's actually revolutionary. So here's the big point I want you to take away. You don't have to match falsehood and lies with force. You don't have to tear down every lie. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is build up the truth, strong, positive, and undeniable. We have to remember in a modern day today where there are channels, TV channels that are politically backed on both sides, funded from both sides, we have to truly question. We have to truly question not only the validity of information, but the agenda behind the information that's present. That's to understand that bypassing is getting to that truth. That is objectivity, and that is how we actually win. And I will see you on the next episode. Stay victorious, stay objective, see all sides to understand better. That's why. It's not a matter of avoiding one side versus other. Understand the big picture so you can make a quality decision for yourself. Have a great day. Catch you on the next episode.